Man, I grew up, in a time in Detroit where, it was booming. You had Motown, individuals like, Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson. Detroit was like, man, you talk about metropolitan. Like when you think about the United States of America, in my time in the 70s, we were up there with Chicago, New York, LA. If it was happening in Hitsville, USA.
Yes, Detroit is enjoying its finest hour. There is a renaissance, a rebirth in the city. There's a newness in Detroit.
The car industry was booming, Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Like Detroit was just, at that time, it was alive. We had African-American Mayor Coleman Young. Detroit, it was live. There was a lot going on in the city. I remember being a kid, 7 Mile was just blocked up, just cars, kids, teenagers just, in the streets dancing, having fun. The 70s was a real, good time, man. It was a middle class, lifestyle for African Americans at that time.
And I remember something when I'm in that moment, in that space. I've clung to it. I've lived with it. I've stood on it. My dad said this when he smacked that basketball off my face. And he used to always tell me, you're not a product of your environment. You're not a product of your external storm. What you have or what you don't have, where you come from or what you don't come from. The traumas, the abuses, the good and the bad. None of that dictates, but it's what you will do in the moment. What's your response? And he said this quote, and man, I live by it. He said, as long as there's breath in your lungs, there's hope in your heart. As long as you're breathing.
Somebody talk to me. Before I point, what do you got to do to separate yourself? What time is that? What time are they getting up? Good. So you need to be up at least by what? 7. Am I better than the other motivational speakers? I don't know if I'm more talented than them. I just know I get up at 3 o'clock and put my videos out first. I just know I do 5 a day. So if you're actually better than me, nobody will know. All right, watch this. Tony Robbins back in the day, Les Brown back in the day, when you watched a 2-minute video and you ordered one of their videos, how long you think it take for the CD to get to the crib or the DVD to get to your crib? Anybody, how long you think it takes? 4 weeks. 4 weeks. I did something nobody else did. I gave away my content. I put my content out every day. You're probably in love with ET at that point. You're about to get a divorce. You just failed your bar exam. Your team just lost in the championship. You don't need motivation 4 weeks from now. I saw a gap, y'all. I saw a gap in the industry. And I said, just give your stuff away for free. And guess what? When you give it away for free, they will be endeared to you because I believe the content is sweet. You know when you go to the grocery store or you go to the mall and they say, try fried rice. You're like, yo, I'm good on that. No, try fried rice. You're like, bro, I want to try fried rice. And then you taste it, you're like, ooh. They're like, come, $5.99.